Right now, nearly 3 million factory-fresh vehicles are sitting on dealer lots across America. That represents close to $150 billion worth of automotive inventory collecting dust. And according to recent data from IC Cars, certain models have staggering amounts of their entire production run still waiting for buyers. These are not trade-ins or pre-owned vehicles. These are brand new cars with 0 miles that the market has rejected. So what actually happens when a $50,000 sedan or a $58,000 electric vehicle sits on a lot for 500, 600, even 800 days without finding an owner? The reality is far more troubling than most consumers realize. Today, I am breaking down the 7 stages of what dealerships do with cars that refuse to sell, from desperate price slashing to complete financial meltdown. And wait until you hear about stage 4. That is where the situation turns genuinely ugly. Stage 7. The 90-day countdown begins. Here is something that would surprise most car shoppers. Dealerships do not actually own the vehicles displayed on their lots, not in any conventional sense. They operate through a system called floor plan financing, essentially a massive revolving credit facility provided by banks or the vehicle manufacturers themselves. The dealer borrows money to acquire each car, and the lender retains the title until a customer drives it away. During the first 60 to 90 days, interest rates typically remain minimal or sometimes even 0. Sounds like a reasonable arrangement, right? Here is where it falls apart. The moment that introductory period expires, interest charges begin accumulating rapidly. According to industry analysis from Harney Partners, floor plan interest rates currently range from SOFR plus 200 to 400 basis points, depending on dealer creditworthiness. New vehicle holding costs were running around $7.90 per day in early 2025. The financial pressure has intensified dramatically. Floor plan spending for publicly traded dealer groups exploded from $126 million in 2021 to more than $363 million less than 2 years later. That is not a misprint. Interest expenses nearly tripled in under 24 months. So the instant a new sedan arrives at the showroom, the financial clock starts running. The objective is straightforward: sell it within 90 days or start hemorrhaging money. Every single day that car sits unsold costs the dealer real cash. And that represents just the opening chapter of their difficulties. Stage 6. The desperate discount phase. When that 90-day window closes without a buyer materializing, dealerships shift into crisis mode. The initial tactic is predictable, aggressive price reductions. Management rolls out discounts, manufacturer rebates, promotional financing packages, and cash-back incentives designed to make the vehicle irresistible. We are talking $5,000, $10,000, sometimes $15,000 or more slashed from the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Sounds like a fantastic opportunity for shoppers, right? Absolutely. But consider what is unfolding on the other side of that transaction. According to CarEdge analysts, if you are considering a leftover 2024 model as we approach 2026, you should be negotiating at least 15 to 20% off MSRP, simply to compensate for the immediate depreciation penalty you will absorb. That means on a $48,000 sedan, you should be securing at least $7,200 to $9,600 in savings. Anything less, and you are essentially subsidizing the dealer's inventory miscalculations. The current situation is remarkable. According to IC Cars research analyzing over 2.6 million new car listings, approximately 85,000 brand new 2024 models remain unsold as we approach 2026. That represents a significant increase from the 50,000 leftover 2023 models sitting at this time last year. Even more striking, roughly 8,000 new 2023 models are still waiting for buyers as of late 2025. These vehicles are technically 2 model years behind in consumer perception, yet dealers continue attempting to move them as new inventory. Stage 5. The loaner and demo conversion. When price cuts alone fail to move metal, dealers deploy their next strategy. They reclassify slow-selling cars as service loaners or demonstration vehicles. Customers bringing their vehicles in for maintenance or repairs receive loaner cars for temporary transportation. That brand new sedan nobody wanted is a perfect candidate for the loaner fleet. Dealership executives and sales managers also use these vehicles as personal demos. Staff members drive them for daily transportation. Prospective buyers take them on extended evaluation drives. The odometer gradually accumulates miles. This approach serves 2 purposes. First, manufacturers frequently pay dealers monthly reimbursements for vehicles enrolled in service loaner programs, revenue that helps offset the floor plan interest bleeding out every month. Second, once the vehicle accumulates a few thousand miles, the dealer can reclassify it as a nearly new used vehicle. The moment it receives that used car designation, they can justify substantially larger discounts without appearing desperate on their new car pricing. Here is where it becomes problematic. Some less scrupulous dealers fail to fully disclose that a vehicle served as a demo or loaner. They might list it as new or certified pre-owned without mentioning its previous utilization. Always verify the vehicle history and ask direct questions. That brand new car with 4,000 miles was not being driven carefully by conscientious dealer employees. One dealership insider posted footage on social media showing a brand new vehicle that a customer completely destroyed while using it as a loaner, cigarette burns, stains, damage throughout the interior. That vehicle becomes someone's new car at a discounted price. You simply will not discover its full history unless you investigate thoroughly. Stage 4. The dealer trade shuffle. If discounts and loaner programs prove insufficient, dealers begin playing musical chairs with their inventory. The industry calls it a dealer trade. The concept is simple. A rear-wheel drive sports car gathering dust in Minnesota might be exactly what a Phoenix dealer needs. An electric vehicle that will not move in rural Texas could fly off the lot in Los Angeles. Dealers within the same brand network trade slow-moving inventory with each other, hoping a different market demographic will solve their problem. Automakers encourage this practice because it theoretically balances supply and demand across different regions. But here is what they never mention. Every time that car gets shuffled to another dealer, it accumulates transport costs, handling fees, and additional wear. That vehicle might have been loaded onto a carrier 3 or 4 times before it finally lands in front of a buyer. The odometer might still display 47 miles, but that reading does not capture the loading, unloading, parking lot repositioning, and general handling that occurs during dealer trades. If the car still will not sell after being traded, that is when the financial situation begins deteriorating rapidly. Before we continue to the final 3 stages, do me a favor. If you are finding this valuable, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people. Stage 3. The auction nightmare. When conventional sales strategies fail, dealerships turn to the auction block, and this is where the genuine financial devastation begins. 2 types of auto auctions exist. Closed auctions restrict participation to licensed dealers only. Open auctions permit anyone to participate, including used car lot operators, rental companies, and resellers. Here is the brutal reality about auctions. The instant a brand new vehicle crosses that auction block, it immediately gets reclassified as pre-owned, regardless of mileage or condition. A 2024 sedan with 12 miles on the odometer that has never been titled or registered becomes a used car the second the gavel falls. That classification destroys value instantaneously, but it gets worse. Auctions involve listing fees, transport costs, and auctioneer commissions. The dealer is already absorbing a substantial loss on the vehicle before anyone even starts bidding. And because auction buyers attend specifically to find bargains they can flip for profit, the bids come in low, really low. According to industry data, vehicles sold at auction rarely generate a profit for the original dealer. They typically sell closer to rough trade in value, which can be 30 to 40% below retail. That $48,000 sedan the dealer could not move might fetch $29,000 at auction. After fees and transport, the dealer is looking at a loss of $15,000 or more on a single vehicle. Multiply that across dozens of slow-moving units, and you are talking about dealerships hemorrhaging hundreds of thousands of dollars just to clear their lots. According to SCA Auctions, roughly 15% of dealer inventory in the U.S. ends up at auctions each year. Stage 2, the fleet sale dump. Before resorting to auctions, some manufacturers and dealers have another option: fleet sales. Rental car companies like Enterprise, Hertz, and Avis constantly seek inventory at discounted prices. Automakers frequently sell slow-moving vehicles directly to these fleet operators at wholesale rates far below the manufacturer's suggested retail price. This removes inventory from their books quickly while maintaining at least some revenue. But there is a massive downside. When those rental vehicles get cycled out of fleet service a year or two later, they flood the used car market in enormous numbers. That supply surge crushes resale values for private owners who purchased the same model at full price. If you bought a 2024 electric sedan at the manufacturer's suggested retail price, and 6 months later thousands of identical fleet vehicles hit the used market at 40% less, your vehicle's trade-in value just collapsed. This is precisely what happened with certain electric vehicle models. Hertz made headlines in 2021 by ordering 100,000 Teslas. By 2024, that strategy had unraveled spectacularly. According to CarScoops, Hertz faced a staggering $2.9 billion loss throughout 2024, driven substantially by electric vehicle depreciation. The rental giant sold off approximately 30,000 electric vehicles, flooding the used market with barely driven cars at fire sale prices. The result? Everyone who purchased those same models at retail watched their investment evaporate. Hertz reported electric vehicle depreciation across its fleet increased 89%, amounting to approximately $537 per vehicle per month, nearly double the $284 average from the previous year. Fleet sales are not a genuine solution to unsold inventory. They simply redistribute the financial pain across future buyers. Stage 1. The graveyard. Here is the darkest stage that manufacturers prefer you never discover. When vehicles truly cannot find buyers through any normal channel, they end up in storage lots. We are talking about massive outdoor facilities, sometimes constructed on abandoned industrial sites, designed to hold hundreds or even thousands of vehicles indefinitely. These are effectively automotive cemeteries. The vehicles sit exposed to weather, slowly deteriorating. The Automotive Research Group, ICDP, estimates that lot rot affects $100 billion in inventory every month across the industry. Tires develop flat spots from months of sitting stationary. Batteries drain and die. Seals dry out. Brake components corrode. Rust begins infiltrating various systems. Cars are engineered to be driven, not parked, for years. A brand new sedan that sits for 700 or 800 days develops problems that would never exist if it had been purchased and driven normally. One dealership insider reported seeing 2,023 models still sitting on lots well into late 2025, some with protective plastic still covering them. These are vehicles that technically have never been owned, yet they have aged 2 full model years. What eventually happens to these vehicles? Some get shipped to overseas markets where demand differs and regulations are more relaxed. Others get dismantled and destroyed, written off as the cost of doing business. In extreme cases, manufacturers offer buyback programs to help dealers recover costs on particularly toxic inventory. The shocking scale of the problem. Right now, certain models face absolutely catastrophic inventory situations. According to iSeeCars data, the Dodge Hornet plug-in hybrid has 82.1% of its entire 2024 inventory still unsold. That is not a typo. More than 8 out of every 10 Hornets built for 2024 are still sitting at dealerships. The situation grew so severe that Stellantis suspended 2026 production in July 2025. The Chevrolet Malibu, a stalwart of the sedan segment for decades, has 31% of 2024 inventory remaining unsold at an average price of $26,760. Chevrolet has already announced the model's discontinuation. The Nissan Zeekr sports car, despite tremendous excitement at launch with its retro-inspired styling, has 18.8% of 2024 inventory still gathering dust at an average price exceeding $53,000. That tepid reception signals the challenging reality for two-seater sports cars in today's market. Electric vehicles face their own inventory challenges. The Genesis GV60 leads among 2024 electric vehicles with 21.8% still available. For 2025 models, the BMW i4 has an astonishing 89.2% of remaining inventory still on lots, followed by the Porsche Macan electric vehicle at 67.8%. Stellantis products dominate the unsold inventory list so severely that 12 of the 23 models with the highest leftover rates come from their brands. For comparison, the industry average for remaining 2024 inventory sits at just 0.4%. These problem vehicles have 50 to 200 times more unsold stock than normal. Every single one of those vehicles is costing dealers money every single day. Floor plan interest, insurance, lot maintenance, and depreciation all erode margins that were already razor thin. The bottom line. Here's what you need to understand. The automotive industry operates on the assumption that everything sells eventually. Manufacturers keep building, dealers keep ordering, and floor plan lenders keep financing. But when consumer demand shifts, when prices climb too high, when affordability craters, the entire system begins fracturing. Those nearly 3 million unsold vehicles on American lots represent a massive financial burden that dealers cannot sustain forever. Average transaction prices have smashed through record territory. According to Kelley Blue Book, the average new vehicle transaction price exceeded $50,000 for the first time ever in September 2025. The $20,000 vehicle is now essentially extinct. Average new vehicle manufacturer Suggested retail prices have climbed above $52,000. Interest rates have squeezed both dealer financing and consumer loans. Certain brands have seen consumer confidence collapse entirely. The result is a growing mountain of vehicles that nobody wants at any price. For informed buyers, this creates opportunity. If you are flexible about model year and willing to negotiate aggressively, you can secure deals that would have been inconceivable just a few years ago. But for dealerships and manufacturers, a reckoning is approaching. You can only shuffle, discount, loan, and auction your way out of bad inventory for so long before the losses become catastrophic. That is all for today. If you found this valuable, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We are covering the biggest stories in the automotive industry, stories that dealerships do not want you to know. See you in the next one.